Hello everyone, welcome to In the Cordon, the place where every cricketer wants to be. I'm your host Callum Doug and thank you so much for joining me for today's episode. Please ensure that you like, comment and subscribe to all of our social media pages and make sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Now, on to today's episode. Hello everyone, welcome to today's episode. On today's episode, we talk with Sam Heazlett. Sam made his debut in ODI cricket for Australia at just the age of 21 and he's gone on to play in many T20 leagues around the world, but has had a lot of success for the Brisbane Heat. Sam, how are you, mate? Welcome to In the Cordon.
Hi, Callum. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here. I'm very well, thank you.
So many questions to ask you today about your amazing career and what you're doing at the moment, but we'll start off with our opening segment, which is called Legends and Sledges. So, Sam, has there been a time in your career where you've just given a killer blow to put someone off their game, or has someone delivered a ripper sledge towards you, or maybe is it one of your teammates?
I'm not a massive sledger myself. I think I over the years I have tried to have a go. I usually get a bit more cerebral about it and try and get the batter thinking about their technique or their approach to the innings or something like that, to try and put them off, to try and give us a bit of a benefit as a team, but don't say as much. Personally, I've had some teammates that definitely say a lot. Guys like, Joe Burns can be quite funny with his sledges. He sort of makes you laugh a fair bit as a teammate. But have, copped a lot from opposition players, especially when I was younger playing Sheffield Shield cricket. You don't get it as much in white ball stuff, especially in the Big Bash, because it's quite loud, it's quite fast paced. There's not much room for sledging, but in Sheffield Shield cricket, when you're a young player coming through, you do cop it a bit. The Victorians were quite vocal. Guys like James Pattinson, he got into you. Aaron Finch one day, I was playing at the MCG. Aaron Finch was 12th man for Victoria, so he wasn't even in the 11. He didn't make the 11, but I was coming out to bat at number 5, and he was sledging me, telling me that I was no good and I shouldn't be there, I shouldn't be in the team, whatever. He was 12th man. I couldn't believe that when I was walking out to bat, he was running drinks off the field and sledging me as 12th man. But I mean, he had played a lot for Australia at that stage. I guess he'd earned the right, but that ruffled my feathers a bit, definitely. And probably the number one sledge that I remember still is in my debut for Queensland, walking out to bat in Tassie against Tasmania, and James Faulkner was standing at the crease, standing where the batter stands, and goes, "Yeah, hey mate, I know you haven't done haven't done this much before, but would you like me to mark centre for you?" Which was quite a strange one, but he was right. It was my debut. I hadn't done it in Shield cricket before, so obviously I didn't let him do it. I marked centre myself, but that was strange. I think he ended up getting me out both innings of that match after I scored plenty of runs, so I wasn't complaining. But he did get me out. Whether that was the sledge that did it or not, I'm not too sure.
Sam, just following on from that, is there a time that you've gone to sledge someone and it's just gone horribly wrong as well?
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of times I've sledged people and instead of doing what I was hoping for, it's taken them to another level. So a lot of people thrive off that competition. They want to feel challenged out in the middle as a batter, and sometimes you pick the wrong person to sledge. Guys like Matt Wade or who else would it be? I'm not sure, but yeah, some guys you play against, they just feed off that competition, and go on to score hundreds or whatever it might be. There's probably a couple of times where I've probably taken it too far and gotten a little bit too personal in the moment, just because you get that white line fever and you want to win, and maybe you've copped a little bit of it when you're batting and you want to give it back when you get a chance. But yeah, we learned from that, and I think I've got a bit more disciplined over the years with it.
Nah, it's good to hear those kinds of stories, but most people that we talk to, love the contest on the field, and then when they get off the field, they're able to sit down, have a beer with the bloke, and kind of all is forgiven. Sam, I just want to take you back to earlier in your career. You had one of the most amazing Shield debut seasons of all time. I looked at the stats in preparation for our interview, and you were third for Queensland in terms of all-time debut Shield seasons. But on your debut, you scored 129 and you also scored a 70 as well. So would you be able to tell us about making your Shield debut as a young kid?
Second 11 cricket, that sort of thing for Queensland. And then, didn't play the first game of the year, but was brought in for the second game of the season and batting at number 3. which I'd probably be more of a 4 or 5 in red ball cricket before that. I think I had batted up the order for Aussie 19s in red ball cricket and stuff, but to bat at number 3 in a team, you're always thinking, gee, that's where they put the best batter. I'm under pressure to try and score runs at number 3, but of course I was just stoked to be there, playing against a really good Tassie lineup. Ben Hilfenhaus, Xavier Doherty, James Faulkner, Jackson Bird, um, Andrew Feckerty, all guys that had played for Australia or been in Australian squads. So that was pretty daunting, and I think that helped me get through the game because I was just thinking, well, I mean, I didn't have many expectations. I just wanted to take it one game at a time and one ball at a time at that stage. And if I could get through that next ball, I was happy, and I was able to accumulate a few runs along the way.
That's awesome. And I suppose 12 months later, you got an opportunity to go to New Zealand with the Australian one-day team, and then you managed to make your international debut in the second ODI. What was your experience going over to New Zealand, and then obviously how did it feel to put on the green and gold for the first time?
Yeah, it was all very fast paced as well. It was an interesting lead up to that because I hadn't played one day cricket for Queensland. I don't believe at that stage. I'd played a fair bit of Shield cricket, but at that point in time, they played all the one days at the start of the season in a big block. And the couple of seasons before that moment, I'd been injured for that block in that period of time and hadn't been able to play one day cricket for Queensland. So uh, I guess it was a format I hadn't played a lot at that level. I'd played a series against India A and Sri Lanka and South Africa A for an Australian national performance squad. They called it at the time, and scored a lot of runs. Was player of the series in that competition, playing against some good players in white ball cricket, and it was all one day format. So I guess that's where I got my opportunity off the back of runs in Shield cricket and runs in that series against South Africa A and India A. And I wasn't expecting to get picked for Australia at that age, despite starting my career well. But it was nice to get over there. Then even on debut, I wasn't supposed to be in the 11. I wasn't nervous the night before because I was supposed to be running drinks. And just before the toss happened, I think it was Matt Wade injured his back and couldn't play. So they gave Pete Hanscom the gloves, and I came into the batting order at number 6. And yeah, they just said, "You're in." And good luck, basically. And I was very nervous from that point on, waiting to bat, but at least I didn't have a sleepless night the night before.
Nah, it's amazing that you've been able to represent Australia at such a young age. But I do want to ask, when you made your debut for Australia, you're only 21 years of age, which is quite young in terms of international cricket. Do you feel if the opportunity had to maybe come, 5 or 6 years later, it might have been a different experience for you?
Every year that I played, I got better and better, and I'm a much better player now than I was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever. And um, especially as a batter, you keep improving over the years as you work on your skills and you learn your game better. But you never turn down an opportunity like that. And, people are these days, they're always looking for that next player that's going to come through, that's going to set the world on fire um, and win games for their country and give them opportunities early on and exposure. So I'm very grateful for that. Uh, I think experience is very helpful in cricket. The more experience you have, it just makes such a big difference. I think we see it in T20 cricket these days. Young players can have good games here and there, but it's the guys that have the most experience that are the most consistent performers and are winning trophies for teams most of the time.
The only reason I asked that question is because we had Mark Cosgrove on our program a few years ago, and he was like yourself, went to Bangladesh, made his debut at 21, and he said one of the things he wishes that was that opportunity came later in his career because he felt that he was just going to get another opportunity for Australia down the line. Did you feel the same once you made your debut at 21?
Yeah, I mean, you never take it for granted. There's so many good players out there. At that point in time, there were a couple of injuries and a lot of cricket going on that got me the opportunity. But you always hope that you're going to get a chance down the line. But I never thought it was definitely going to happen because of all the great players we play against and all the players in the past who have done so well and not gotten opportunities. Everyone could be your last. Uh, but I think, in saying that, anyone playing Shield cricket, anyone playing one day cricket for their state, whatever it might be, is good enough. They have the skills, they're there for a reason. There's no reason why they can't take that step up to international cricket. Of course, it's a lot harder, but they have the skills to perform. A lot of it comes down to your mental approach and being able to stay calm and composed under pressure and in those tough moments. But we're very fortunate in Australia to have a great pathway system which develops and creates a lot of competition and great players.
Sam, we see you a lot more these days on the T20 circuit, and I'm going to ask you about your time playing in Hong Kong and Nepal, but how do you see the T20 landscape overall in world cricket at the moment? Do you think it's gone too far in favour of T20 cricket? And is there still a genuine place for the one-day format in particular, which seems to be dying a little bit, but obviously the king of all cricket, Test cricket?
Yeah, I think Test cricket is the pinnacle. It's something that I'd love to see continue on and be popular throughout all cricket playing nations around the world. It's a format I love playing because it's such a battle, a mental challenge, physical challenge. It's a real stress on the body in all ways. So I think that's a really important part of the game, which I love playing and grew up playing. When I was younger, growing up, it was all red ball cricket or one day cricket. A lot of 2 day games with the odd 1 day game here or there. It was very, very few T20 games. We hardly played any T20 cricket over the years when I was younger. So that change happened as I was in my late teens or in early 20s. It kept developing from there. I really enjoy playing one day cricket. I think you need a bit of a mix of everything. You need to be able to get through that new ball where it's tough work and have a good solid defense. You need to be able to rotate the strike. You need to be able to find the boundary and hit sixes at the right time as well. And same as a bowler, you need to have all the skills. It's not just about defending or bowling slower balls or Yorkers. You need to be able to attack and take wickets with the new ball too. So I love one day cricket. Maybe there isn't room for all of them. Yeah, we've got T20 cricket now. We've got T10 cricket. We've got six-a-side cricket, like you said, that I played in Hong Kong. There's even other formats out there as well that are coming through. I mean, as a cricketer myself, it's nice to have all these competitions out there and opportunities to play and travel the world. It's amazing to be able to do it that way. But probably, if I'm being honest, there probably is too many comps out there that you probably want to see a slightly smaller number of competitions, or maybe a tiered system, with it being a bit more regulated, especially with there being issues with some competitions in terms of payments and players being paid or not being paid in time or the full amount. Potentially some of these competitions there might be issues with match fixing and those sort of things, which is not what you want in the game at all. So it would be nice to see a bit more regulation and structure around that side of things, but very hard to do, really hard to regulate it so well. It's hard. You can't stop people from organizing games of cricket and from people watching. People love watching cricket, especially if they get the viewers from the subcontinent. They're making money from getting that cricket on TV, and it's still an exciting spectacle to watch. So I understand it too.
We want to thank the sponsor of today's episode, Pitch It Up, cricket's newest training aid. Pitch It Up is designed for kids to improve their game, and best of all, your cricketer can train anywhere at any time. You can adjust the pace, spin, and difficulty of the delivery according to the challenges of your cricketer. The best part is, for the coaches, the automatic function means that you can 100% focus on your player. It's safe to use at home, take down to the net, or use with your friends. While Pitch It Up is excellent for batting, it's also extremely useful for catching and wicket-keeping drills. If you want young cricketers to improve their game, make sure you check out Pitch It Up. Pitch It Up is Australian owned and available at many specialist cricketing retailers around the country. For more information, please visit pitchitup.com.au. I want to touch on your time in the NPL, which is the Nepal Premier League, and you had an opportunity to play over there. And you got to play with the likes of Faf du Plessis, who's captain South Africa, Martin Guptill, who's been a fantastic player for New Zealand. Would you be able to tell us about the experience that you had over in Nepal? How did you adapt to the culture? And most importantly, what was the cricket like over there?
Yeah, I've had some opportunities over the years to play in Sri Lanka and India, which was great. And I loved those when I was younger. But I hadn't been to Nepal before, so it was good to see that as a new country. Similar sort of conditions, weather, food that you expect in those regions. And I love playing cricket on those pitches as well. It's different. It's lower and spinny wickets, which favors the spin bowlers. But I like that challenge. I enjoy bringing out the sweep shot, and um, it's not just playing games over there, but the ability to train in between and develop your skills and try new things. You just can't replicate that in Australia, really. So that was good. And playing in those franchise leagues, it's like you said, it's amazing to be able to play with those international cricketers and learn off them and talk to them about the game. And also as the overseas player, to be able to work with some of the local players who have such good skills. Those local Nepalese players are highly skilled players, but it's nice to be able to impart some wisdom on them and give them some advice, whether it's about playing T20 cricket in general or how they can adapt when they're playing for their country in Australia or when they're touring overseas. Uh, so I loved it. It's a beautiful country, Nepal. When you get out of the city, especially, and you're up into the mountains or the lakes and caves they have around, it's a beautiful place to visit. So being there for a month and being able to play plenty of cricket, but also travel around was great. The people loved their cricket too. Like every game nearly was sold out. Everyone was dancing in the crowd and singing every ball. It was quite an atmosphere to play in.
It's amazing to hear, and I love that T20 cricket is giving these lesser known cricketing nations an opportunity to get some high quality international players, and that's obviously going to elevate their domestic system. And being able to rub shoulders with these guys is just truly amazing. I want to ask you about the Hong Kong Sixers, which is a very unique cricketing competition. It's six-a-side, 6 overs, and I remember watching a couple of games in November, and teams were scoring around that 150, 160 mark off like 60 overs, and I'm just like, this is absolutely hectic. Can you tell us about that experience, please?
Yeah, I'd seen a little bit of it myself growing up on TV with guys like David Warner and Glenn Maxwell, I think, playing in it back in the day, and they had a bit of a hiatus. But I'm glad they brought it back. It was awesome to be a part of. I didn't really know how to go about it. I was opening the batting and I thought, probably give myself two or three balls at least to get in and see what's going on and give myself a chance. But very quickly realized that the only way you could go about it was trying to hit a six every ball from ball one, which definitely isn't how I had grown up playing the game. But it was fun. It was tough work, especially with that new swinging ball and a little bit in the wicket. Thankfully, the boundaries weren't very big, and there was plenty of gaps. But yeah, it's just such a fast-paced game where you had to think about different tactics, whether the keeper was standing back, even to spin sometimes to try and negate the ramp shot. Uh, yeah, you didn't have time to warm up. It was just straight into the game. The game before finished, there was no nets, there was no outfield to practice on. It was just game's done, next game starting, get in there, get going, and yeah, it was, the momentum can swing very quickly, a lot quicker and a lot easier than even a T20 game. The momentum, you think you've got it and it's just gone in one ball. So, yeah, different cricket, but I think anything like that enhances your skills as a player too.
Sam, most of your experience in T20 has been with the Brisbane Heat. Would you be able to tell us about playing for Brisbane Heat? And you've had an opportunity to play in some big matches, including that big final in Perth a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it was great to be able to play for my home city for I think 8 seasons it was, 50 games for the Brisbane Heat. I grew up in Brisbane, so very passionate Queenslander, and followed the Brisbane Heat growing up. And so to be able to play that much for them was amazing. That final was crazy to be a part of too. We had a slightly weaker lineup because of a few people away on Australian duties, and we gave it a real hot crack. Probably should have won the game in the end, but Perth came back strong and had quite an incredible finish. But the crowd was packed out at Perth Stadium, new facility there. It was so loud. I was on the player mic and I could hardly hear through the earpiece because of how loud it was in the stadium there. So it was a great place to play. I guess over the years with the Heat, I've had a lot of different coaches and captains, and the way we look to play evolved quite a bit over that period of time. Guys like Darren Lehman, Chris Lynn, Dan Vittori, Brendan McCullum, they were the different sort of coaches and captains we had early on, and there was definitely a very aggressive mindset about how we went about it over those years, looking to entertain, looking to take the aggressive option and back yourself. And sometimes it worked out great, and when it didn't work out, it looked terrible, and we copped a lot of commentary around that. But you have to stick to your guns when that's the plan leading into the season. And then we had Wade Seckham come in and do a good job and probably adapt the approach to being a bit more conservative and trying to be smarter about how he went about the cricket, if you want to put it that way. And he had some success at the club too. Um, so yeah, it's good to see that evolution over time and play with a lot of different players, local and overseas.
I just wanted to ask you one question about the Big Bash. How do you find, because you batted in that sort of 4 to 6 category, how did you find dealing with the power surge? Because I think that it's not necessarily preparing players in a great way to go on to play international cricket where we have a 6-over power play up front, but it does provide some unique opportunities to score in the middle overs.
Yeah, I think most of my white ball career, more than not, I was even at the top of the order, opening or top 3. I did have some seasons where I batted all at 4 and 5 throughout the season. So I batted nearly everywhere in T20 cricket, and when you had the 6-over power play at the start, it was so good as an opening batter. You had time to get yourself in, give yourself a few overs to see the ball, and then you still had time to hit boundaries and put pressure on the bowler, especially when the ball stopped swinging. When it changed to 4 overs, it made it a lot more challenging for those opening batters because you had more pressure to go earlier and give yourself less time to get in. Also, that Kookaburra ball has developed and changed over time. It's staying harder for longer now, slightly bigger seam on it, swinging and seaming around more than it used to. So it's a bit tougher at the top of the order, and you have to change the way you go about it. You can't just swing and hope for the best. It's going to do a bit more, and you have to play more conventional cricket shots. In terms of that surge through the middle, I think it's a pretty good spectacle for people to watch, to be able to see that 2-over burst. It can work out really well for the batting team or the bowling team. You have to use your tactics and smarts, and as an opposition team, you never know when the batters are going to choose to go for it. So it just adds that extra element. So I like it. I know it's different to the international game, but now watching international T20 cricket, when I see that it's 6 overs, it just feels like such a long period of time that power play goes for. So I don't mind breaking it up.
Sam, I just wanted to ask as well, you've had a few setbacks throughout your career. One of the themes that we do touch on the podcast a lot is mental resilience. When have been some times that you've had to show that mental resilience throughout your career?
Yeah, always. Every game you need to, for sure. Every game's a new challenge, so you can't completely prepare for what you're going to come up against. You never know what it's going to be like on the day and what challenges you're going to have to overcome. But definitely, I was poor at the start of my career when I'd had a few bad games, being able to then turn that around and get back to scoring runs again, just because of that mental side of things. I think I'm much better now at, if you have a bad score, being able to brush it off and be like, hey, I know what I need to do. I'll keep sticking to my plan and my processes, and it's gonna come off. I've got the skills and the ability, and I'm much better at doing that nowadays, and being more mentally resilient to those failures, I guess. Cricket's a sport where you fail so often, it's so hard, and success is quite rare. Maybe only a couple of players in the team feel like they've had a successful day at any point in time. So I've gotten much better at being able to do that, and worked with some good sports psychs and people that have helped me in that regard. But I think it's just the biggest thing is the inner awareness, the personal awareness of when you have those negative thoughts, which are going to happen, and being able to pick up on it and be like, no, I've got to reframe that. I've got to think about it in a different way so that I can give myself a better chance to perform today or in this moment with this next ball.
One thing that I do want to touch on now is you've got your own cricket coaching business, Perform Cricket, as we can see on your shirt there. How have you enjoyed coaching youngsters? We've got a mutual friend of ours, Ollie Fanshawe, a blind cricketer for Australia who's worked with you for quite some time. So big shout out to Ollie. But how have you enjoyed setting up your own business? But you're also a qualified physiotherapist as well. So how are you able to incorporate that element into the business?
Yeah, coaching sort of, I started doing that when I was about 18 years old, so maybe 12 years ago now. I finished school and someone mentioned cricket coaching to me, and I thought I never want to be a cricket coach. I couldn't imagine doing something like that, but ended up giving it a go and coaching at some local schools and local rep teams just to help out, and really enjoyed it. Then started working with players one on one and on their skills. And looking back, I probably had no idea what I was doing back in those early days, but I've learned a lot and upskilled over that period of time, and really enjoy it. It's so good to be able to do something I love and have passion about, which is cricket, and that is my life, and that's what I do all day, every day. But to be able to pass on some things that I wish I maybe knew at that younger age. There's so many talented players out there that just don't know how to harness that talent and skill and be able to turn that into the outcomes they want, and executing in the game. So I love being able to talk with them through those things and seeing the success they have and the enjoyment they have from that. Um, and and yeah, with the physio side of things, I've always studied while I was playing cricket. Straight out of school, I started studying physiotherapy, as there was no guarantee that I was going to be a professional cricketer. And it took me a long time. I did a double degree in that and exercise science, and to be able to finish those degrees and now work in that space, whether it's helping young players, creating strength and conditioning programs for them. We would do subjects regarding that sports psychology side of things, nutrition, biomechanics, yeah, and then also helping them with injuries. I had a lot of injuries myself growing up and a lot of time away from the game with torn muscles or broken bones or ligaments and tendons and everything going on in my body. So it's nice to be able to help players through, especially cricketers, where I know the demands in the sport. I know what they need to be able to do to be able to get back on the park and be able to have a focused approach to their rehab. And then also, even when they're not injured, giving them that advice around how to get stronger and not get injured in the future or reduce the chance of injury.
What advice would you give to young players coming through? Obviously, you coach a lot of youngsters through your business. What's the one piece of advice that you give to cricketers coming through at the moment?
Big one for me is not looking too far ahead, um, and staying in the moment. But people are thinking like, I want to play for Australia one day. How am I going to get to play for Australia when I'm playing at this low level already? I think for me, I did idolize those Australian players. I watched it on TV and loved it and wanted to be there, but I just was happy to play at the next level. Like I'm like, oh, can I play for my regional team? I'd love to play for Met East or the Bears team, which was my regional team at the time. Or when I was playing grade cricket, starting in sixth grade or fifth grade, and then moving through, I just wanted to play one game in that next grade up and experience it. I wanted to play one great game of first grade for my club side, and and then I just set my sights just that little bit further ahead. It was that next goal, which was attainable. It wasn't something way too far ahead, which potentially was unrealistic. It was getting to that next stage and improving my skills to do that. And I think that really helped me because I wasn't looking too far ahead. It didn't feel like anything was too far away. And things can happen so quickly as a cricketer. A couple of runs on the board in consecutive weeks, or a couple of 3 or 4 wicket hauls or more, and there might be injuries. There might be other people getting selected in higher honours in teams above you, and the opportunities come when you're not expecting it. So staying in the moment there and trying to be ready when those opportunities come.
Sam, you've played against a lot of great players over your career. Who was the toughest bowler that you've faced? Is it someone in Australian conditions on a green seamer, or is it someone that you faced in the subcontinent?
Hard to distinguish between different players in different formats. Sort of those slow, medium pace bowlers that could really wobble, seam the ball around and swing it both ways. Trent Copeland comes to mind. Guys like that were really tough in red ball cricket. So hard to score off and very challenging. When it comes to white ball cricket, that express pace, guys like Lockie Ferguson, when I was playing for Australia, he felt so quick and skiddy onto the bat. He got me out in that ODI that I played. And then, of course, guys like Rashid Khan, I had a good game against him at Adelaide Oval where I hit him for a few boundaries and scored 49, but he also got me out for a first ball duck, I think it was at the Gabba one day, and being able to pick a leg spinner with such a consistent action when it doesn't look any difference between their leg spinner and their wrong. And picking them at night time under lights with a white ball is a lot more challenging. And you need to you need to be able to have plans against them when sometimes you know you're not going to be able to pick them. Even like Sunil Narayan, playing against him when I was young at the Gabba, like being him having his Karen ball, being able to flick spin it both ways, it was very tough.
How do you go about facing someone like Rashid or Sunil Narayan when you think that you think they've just got the wood over you? How do you sort of, think that you are still in control or have the perception that you are still in control?
The best piece of advice I got was from Brendan McCullum when he was playing for us at the Brisbane Heat, and I asked him about Sunil Narayan and picking the which way it was spinning, and he said, "Don't even worry about it. Like, don't care which way it's spinning. Don't think about it. Just pick the length. So watch it out of the hand. Think, is it full? If it's full, get down and whack it back down the ground. If it's short, get on the back foot and crunch it off the back foot." And I think what that led to was me watching the hand really closely and just subconsciously picking up the hand movements and which way it was spinning that way, or picking up the same position and how it was revolving in the air because of that. And just picking up the length too. If it was full and I could get to it, then it wasn't going to spin past the bat. And if it was short, I had time to get back and see it off the wicket and react as I needed to. So that's what I still try and do these days, and some of the advice I try and pass on. But it's never easy. They can bowl a good ball, and it doesn't. Your plans are never perfect. They never always work out every time.
I just wanted to follow on from that. Obviously, Brendan McCullum, coach of England at the moment, they've just had a bad Ashes defeat, if we're being perfectly honest. But we know that this English cricket team love having McCullum as their coach. What's your relationship like with Brendan McCullum, and would you be able to tell us a few examples of how else he's been able to help you with your game?
Obviously, he has that thought process that cricket should be played in an aggressive fashion, if I can say that. He doesn't want people to be cautious or tentative or second guess themselves. I think that's the major thing, and that's what I completely agree with too. You don't want to be half-hearted with what you're doing. If you get out, you're going to be disappointed if you got out because you were cautious or you didn't fully commit. So I guess all the messages he's passing on, all that mindset he's trying to lead towards his players is back yourself, trust your ability, have that belief, and commit to what you're doing. I think it's a bit misconstrued and not well understood in the public, because it comes across as, oh, you should just go and slog and run at bowlers and try and hit them back over their head for six and that sort of thing, which isn't necessarily the case. I'm sure Baz doesn't care if people go out there and block and leave a lot, as long as they're committing to what they're doing. And if they're fully trusting their ability and have a plan and they're committing to it, I'm sure he's happy. Um, a lot of their players weren't executing their plans the way they want. I'm sure they weren't making good decisions, if you wish, or reacting the way they would like. And there's multiple reasons for that. I guess when you have that more aggressive approach and mindset, it might lead to that. But it's also about adapting to conditions and scenarios. And as he said, Australia set good fields, good bowling plans, and on wickets that were doing a little bit, it made it tough to probably play as many shots as they were looking to play over here. But I think Brennan's a very smart cricketing mind. It's not, he played a very aggressive fashion, but their success or failures isn't all on him. It's up to the players at the end of the day to go about it the way they feel like they need to go about it to get success. And he's there to help them and to provide clarity and confidence in what they're doing. But he's not the one out there having to score the runs at the end of the day.
Sam, just before we finish up today's interview, what are the plans for yourself this year? Are you planning to play some more T20 leagues around the world, or are you really focused on continuing with growing Perform cricket?
Still, coaching and doing the physio side of things with Perform cricket and growing that. I love to see our players develop, and we've got other coaches that can do that while I'm away as well. But I'm still playing first grade cricket here when I'm around for Redlands, and trying to still hopefully get more opportunities in Shield cricket, one day cricket, Big Bash cricket in Australia. But there are T20 leagues overseas on the horizon. I've got a T10 comp in Malaysia coming up at the end of the month in a couple of weeks. And then through the winter, there's some other competitions and stuff we're talking to that might have a look at and travel to. And yeah, so it's nice to have that variation in what I do and being able to still play, still perform at a high level and challenge my skills, and then also be at home for periods of time or around family and friends and working with local cricketers, which I really enjoy.
Sam, I just wanted to say a big thank you for giving up your time to come on In the Court. And we've been in the process of organising this interview for a couple of years now, but I'm so grateful to be able to talk with you. You're such a great guy, and I know that there are good things ahead for you this year.
Pleasure to chat today, and it's always nice to reminisce on different parts of the journey and talk about cricket, which I enjoy doing. So thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Sam. Thank you to those of you who are watching at home. Make sure that you follow In the Cordon on all of your social media platforms and wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you on the next episode. Cheers.